This is a Sports Catastrophe production. Hey there, Heather. Hello there. It's Jeff Cutter Diving. Welcome to another Sports Catastrophe birthday boy. No, it's not a birthday boy. It's a birthday girl. Yes, I know. She looks hot. And you're thinking, well, I definitely have this tennis player because she's hot. No, she has to be decent and she has to be good. She's not Anna Kournikova, but she is Russian. So she was a player from 2001 to 2020. So she's spent 19 years on the women's tour and was number one in singles for 21 weeks, getting the career Grand Slam in singles, the one of only 10 women to do so, and took silver at the 2012 London Olympics. She became the first Russian to be number one in the world. She actually won 5 majors, 2 French Opens, and then 1 Australian Wimbledon and US Open to do the career Grand Slam. Winning 36 titles. She's actually been a US permanent citizen since 1994, but she played under the banner of Russia. Anyway, she is an icon. Very much so. She is Maria Sharapova, who is only 36 years old. So anyway, Maria Sharapova was born in the Soviet Union. And they actually left their homeland shortly before Maria was born because of the regional effects of the Chernobyl nuclear accident. When Sharapova was 3, they moved to Sochi. And she would be 4 years old before she started playing tennis. In fact, her father befriended Alexander Kalipnikov, who was a pretty good coach. But Alexander's son, Evgeny, would actually be a star, winning 2 Grand Slam single titles and become Russia's first number 1 ranked tennis player, male or female. So anyway, she would practice and all that. She had good hand-eye coordination. And at the age of 6, she was actually recommended to train with Nick Botticelli of the IMG Academy in Florida. Botticelli actually trained fellow Russian Anna Kournikova. Anyway, money tight, Yuri borrowed the sum that would enable him and his daughter to travel to the US, which they did in 94. Sharapova's mother would have to wait 2 years before joining them, but they were in Florida. Anyway, at 9 years old, she was signed by IMG agency, which meant that they would pay the whole tuition fee for Sharapova to stay at the academy. And she had some promise and all that. She didn't win any of the junior Grand Slams, but still, she did okay. In 2003, she would actually play a full season and make the top 50. She actually shocked everyone by going to Wimbledon in her first full year and going to the 4th round, but lost to fellow Russian Svetlana Kuznetsova. But she won the Japan Open Tennis Championships and the Bell Challenge in Quebec City. She was named the WTA, the Women's Tennis Newcomer of the Year. Anyway, Sharapova went out in the 3rd round of the Australian Open to Anastasia Maskina. She made the quarterfinals of the French Open, but lost to Paula Suarez. So she went to the 2004 Wimbledon stuff, seeded 13th and age 17. She took down Ai Tsukiyama to make the semifinals and then defeated Lindsay Davenport. In the finals, she would have to face Serena Williams, who was the defending champion and top seed. And somehow, in some way, she ended up winning the title at age 17, making her the 3rd youngest to win the Wimbledon ladies crown, behind Lottie Dodge back in the 1880s and Martina Hingis, who did it in 1997. Sharapova became the 2nd Russian woman to win a Grand Slam singles title after Maskina won the previous French Open. So, anyhow, it was upsetting and all that. She made it to the top 10. She had Maria Mania, but shockingly lost in the 3rd round to Mary Pierce at the US Open. She would win some Asian titles, but anyway. It was huge what could happen. So anyway, she did try to be the #1 player. She reached the quarters of the French Open, but lost to Justine Henin. And then she got to the semifinals, but was taken out by Venus Williams. She actually had the #1 ranking for a week. But anyway, Sharapova did fall in the semis to Kim Clijsters in the US Open. She actually lost to every eventual champion in Grand Slam, but she did take #1 for 6 weeks. In 2006, she would win the US Open, taking out Emily Morasmo in the semis, and then took Justine Henin in the final to win her second Grand Slams title. Unfortunately, injury would be not really helpful in her later career. However, at the Australian Open, when she was seeded #5, she wasn't really a favorite, but she took down Lindsay Davenport in the second round, and then Justine Henin in the quarters. She went to the finals, taking down Jelena Jankovic in the semis and Ana Ivanovic in the final, taking down Serbia twice. And she didn't drop a set. She looked pretty good for herself, and she gained the #1 ranking. And shockingly, Justine Henin suddenly retired from pro tennis in May, which was shocking, to say the least. She ended up losing to Danila Savina, fellow Russian, in the 4th round, losing her #1 ranking. And then she lost in the second round of Wimbledon to the #154 player in the world. Unfortunately, Sharapova had shoulder problems. Surgery would really be a big thing for her. She returned to form in a sense by 2011, getting to the top 10. And then shocked everyone by winning the French Open. So she had a US Open, she had a Australian Open, and a Wimbledon. She was looking for the French Open to do the career Grand Slam. She was ranked 2nd at the French Open in 2011. She took care of Alexandra Cantino, Ayuri Morita, Pen Shui, Kira Kokolova, Kaya Kanepi, and Petra Kvitova on her way to the finals, making her #1. She would take care of Sara Errani of Italy for her 4th career Grand Slam title and her first French Open title. So she got the French Open and she got the career Grand Slam. Sharapova was given the honor to be the flag bearer for the opening ceremony of the 2012 Olympics in London. So anyway, she was upset in the 4th round of Wimbledon by Sabine Lisicki. She went to the 2012 Summer Olympics and was ranked 3rd in singles. She took care of Israel's Shahar Peer and England's Laura Robson before taking on Sabine Lisicki of Germany. Sabine Lisicki fans. In the quarters, she took down Belgian Kim Clijsters. In the semis, she faced her fellow Russian Maria Kirilenko, winning the final and taking on Serena Williams. Sharapova was thrashed. But Sharapova did take silver, so that's pretty good. But shoulder injuries would ruin her in 2013. But by 2014, she came back. And in the French Open, she was ranked 7th. Took care of Perfak Perankova and Omachera in the 3rd round. She almost lost to Sam Stosur of Australia in the 4th round, but she came back to win. In the quarters, she took down Gadrine Muguruza of Spain. In the semifinals, she took down Canadian Eugenie Bouchard, pissing me off, of course. You know, as a Canadian fan. And she would face Simona Halep in the final She did it her 5th major. In fact, that 2014 final was the first time in 13 years that the women's French Open final had to have the deciding set. Sharapova would lose in the 4th round of Wimbledon to Angelique Kerber. Sharapova went to the Australian Open in 2015, but fell to Serena. She only has, at that time, that made her record against Serena 2-17 with 1 win, being that famous 2004 Wimbledon title. Unfortunately, she would serve a doping suspension because she tested positive for meladonium in the Australian Open. She was banned for 2 years and all that. But in October, they actually reduced it to 15 months, retroactive to January 2016, which meant that by April 2017, she could come back. And she was given wildcards and won a few tournaments. She got to the quarterfinals in 2018. Injuries would hurt her. And of course, 2020 was ruined. She lost to Donna Vekic at the 2020 Australian Open. And her ranking fell to number 369. Sharapova decided to retire February 26, 2020, before COVID ruined everything. Of course, Sharapova would have the drug problems, but at least she took it, and it was 15 months. It wasn't that bad, and it was retroactive. So anyway, relationship. She was engaged at one time to former NBA star Sasha Vujovic, and then she dated Bulgarian tennis player Grigor Dimitrov. But since 2018, she's been in a relationship with Alexander Gilkis, a businessman. Sharapova gave birth to a son on Canada Day 2022. So anyway, she's lived in the U.S. Sharapova still prefers Russian citizenship than being an American resident. So didn't matter. Did a lot of charity work and endorsements. Well, with her being hot, people were just doing all that. So she does work as an advisor. She did win 5 Grand Slams and took 2nd in 5. So her 5 wins were the 04 Wimbledon against Serena, the 06 US Open against Henin, 2008 Australian Open over Ivanovic, the 2012 French Open against Arani, and the 2014 French Open against Halep. Her 5 Grand Slam singles losses: 2007 she lost the Australian Open to Serena, 2011 Wimbledon to Kvitova, 2012 Australian Open to Azarenka, 2013 French Open to Serena, and 2015 Australian Open to Serena. Serena had her go 3 times in a final. She was just doing her job as an important woman in the tennis world. Believe it. Anyway, I'm done. I'm going to do.